Well, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't fun, and it wasn't necessarily good baseball, but the Florida Gators did avoid getting swept by High Point.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free with the podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators baseball team just narrowly avoided getting swept by High Point, which would have been, of course, embarrassing. Before we talk about that, welcome to the 5-hour energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti, craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number one pick for the 5-hour energy flavor draft. And as always, I'm going with the sure thing, the one that raises our ceiling and our floor. All right? That's who we're going with. It's great. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-hour energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. And Florida Gators, just look, this was not a fun weekend of Florida Gators baseball. This was not a good weekend of Florida Gators baseball, right? Where it, for a long time which also, by the way, this game took 90 years to get through. 90 years. It felt like the Florida Gators were going to get swept by High Point for a bit. It did. I'm not going to lie to you. I was getting ready to come on this show and go, well, Florida's going to get swept. Right? Like I went into the show and I was like, well, Florida's going to get swept. I was ready for it for hours. I was like, all right, this feels like it's not going to Florida's favor. And then the ninth inning happened, which like even Florida scored 4 runs in the ninth inning. Imagine 9 runs. Scored 4 runs in the ninth inning. Got walked 5 times in the ninth inning, and ended up walking away with a victory. But it wasn't pretty. It wasn't fun. But, Brandon Olsen, 2 home runs, right? He had a home run in the first inning because Florida opened the game. First off, pitching-wise, obviously not great, opening the game, allowing 4 runs to start it. But bottom of the first inning, opened the game with a Kyle Jones home run and a Brandon Olsen home run. Then Brandon Olsen hit a second home run in the ninth inning. And honestly, I know it kind of barely went over the wall. The moment he made contact with it, I went, oh, that's gone. So I'm glad that I was right, but I thought that was going to clear the wall even more than it actually did. Something about it just made me think, oh, that thing's gone. Then you had Ethan Sherwick walk. You had Carson Bowen walked. Cade McDonald bloop single, which love bloops, right? Then you had, let's see, walk. Like you had bases loaded and you walked in the next 2 runs to win this game. Which like I'm not complaining about. Like, good on you for being disciplined at the plate. Good on you for winning this game, right? That's what matters. But for a while, this game just wasn't great. And this is one of those games where you won, and obviously you came back to win, and it was not an easy game to win, right? Especially because pretty much once you came back from the weather delay, you got the 1 out that you needed. Then you came up, had a 1-2-3 inning at the plate, and then you gave up 6 runs in the top of the 4th inning. And momentum swung so quickly in this game because, again, High Point started the game 4-0 to start. And then Florida obviously immediately back-to-back home runs to open it in their half. And then Florida took momentum, right? Second inning, Florida scored 4 runs, home runs galore. It was they had 4 home runs in the first 2 innings, and the commentators were just like, they haven't had 4 home runs in a game yet. and then they did in the first 2 innings. And so Florida, like, you did your part there. And like, again, like, you kind of went ghost for a little bit after the delay, after the weather delay. You kind of went ghost offensively. And even to win the game, the way that you won it was by not swinging the bat. And really, like, you almost lost this game. You needed a 4-run 9th inning that involved getting walked 5 times to win this game by 1 run, to walk this off, because of 2 bad innings in baseball. Like, that's why, we spent the midweek last week talking about how baseball is actually the sport where it's like, hey, any given day. I know we say it all the time for the NFL. We go, hey, any given Sunday, right? For college football, we go any given Saturday. But the real any given day sport is baseball, because you could really just have one crappy inning and things can just not bounce your way and you lose. This was a series where Florida, like, also, I'm going to say this, like, I'm not looking at this game and going, wow, Florida sucks. Like, Florida's just not who we thought they were. Let's not forget that going into this weekend, Florida had the longest winning streak in the country. This is one of those games where they're one of those series where you go, you know what? That sucked. That was not a fun experience to have. But that was an experience where you're going to either go, all right, well, let's bounce back. Let's build off it. Or you're going to roll over and die. And I don't expect Florida to be the team to roll over and die, right? Especially, like, Liam Peterson, I don't think is going to have an outing like he had on Friday. Neither is King from Saturday, right? Like, I don't think either of those things are going to happen. The rest of it, like Cooper Walls, we'll see, right? Cooper Walls did not have a great outing against High Point. And he's also someone who he's still relatively new to us, right? As Florida Gators fans. He's at Hawaii last year. We don't really know what he's going to be long-term or over the course of the season in general. So we can't really definitively go, oh yeah, well, we know this, right? That's something where we can't really say that with Cooper Walls, that we know what he's going to be for Florida. But what we can say is, promising freshman season. His start to 2026 has not been the best, right? It hasn't been the best, but you still got time to settle in. Like, again, this is one of those series where you go, all right, you're going to either improve or we're going to find out that you should be on fraud alert the rest of the way. And frankly, I don't think this is going to be a team that's going to be on fraud alert the rest of the way. I really don't. Like the bats started popping at certain points of the game, especially at the beginning of the game. And like Brandon Olsen hitting so well. Honestly, this is Rob, dude, this team got dominated. They're done. Okay. I remember the live chat after Florida basketball lost to Missouri, and they were like, oh, this team's not even making the tournament. Okay. I get it though. Game days are for feeling, right? Game days are for feeling. We can be mad. We can be upset about things. But like, think logically, and it's like, well, there's a lot still to this team. There's a lot still to this season. This is still pretty clearly a talented team. It's just, honestly, some of the things that piss me off the most are looking at this team make simple fielding errors and literal errors and just mistakes. Like on Friday, I think Friday. I forgot who it was, but didn't cover first base and it led to run scoring. Things like that just like can't happen, right? That's it. So I'm not doing the whole like, oh, this is over. I'm not doing the fire Sully thing. We'll talk more about this game when we get back with Locked On Gators. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that we'll be talking, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs, and listeners of Locked On Gators will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms apply. If you need to hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And this is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on screen. And I'm giving it to the entire basketball team, honestly, for just the entire season that they had. It was awesome. Rough one on Saturday where, yeah, you won. You covered the spread, which I'm very grateful for. But it was also a game where you almost blew it, but you didn't. You kept fighting, kept clawing. That's what reminds you of what it takes to really raise the bar, right? It's the extra work, the extra details, that extra fire. Mazda puts that same passion into every model. Highlights make the real. What it takes to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Nice again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free for the podcast and on YouTube. And yeah, the Florida Gators won 12-11 against High Point in a game where again, like I said, like it wasn't fun to watch. High Point, first off, their defense was nuts. I'm gonna say that too. Like their defense was crazy. It was wild to just watch them. Like some of the plays they made, I was like, all right, like even the Cade McDonald bloop single in the 9th inning. I thought they were going to come away with that. I was like, yeah, why wouldn't they? Right? They're doing everything right now. And so we'll see that. Florida, by the way, I know that we've talked about how in the 9th inning they won by getting walked 5 times, basically, right? And a lot of that was just it's his last Hit and Leduc both came in and walked guys. Leduc walked a guy 5 pitches, and then Hit just went ball. Like through 19 pitches, 12 were balls. And 2 of his 7 strikes that he threw were with a 3-0 count on the last batter. Like that's it. They came in and they handed it to you, right? Like Florida really had to just not swing the bat. That was it. High Point folded there. That's why I'm like, look, I'm happy Florida won. I'm not happy how they won. I don't think that they did anything. I don't think that they did anything that's, noteworthy of being incredible, right? Your bats started hot early on. You went back to back to open the game. Brandon Olsen hit a second home run. Carson Bowen hit a shot, 3-run home run. Make it 6-4, I think it was when he hit it. But outside of that, like you got walked. Like you got walked. You did not get a lot of hits later on in the game. And you got walked on like pitches that you didn't have to try. Like it wasn't a question if it was going to be a ball or not for most of the balls that were thrown in the 9th inning. So I'm going to say that, and I'm not saying that to take anything away from him because you easily could have screwed it up on the pitches that were close. But I am going to say that, like Florida, this was not a great game for them overall. Discipline at the plate wasn't there, I think, for most of the game, really. Like, again, you got walked 8 times in the game, 5 times in the 9th inning. Discipline wasn't really there. I know that High Point starter was, I think it was Gator, was it Gator Baseball Pod? Gator Diamond Pod that said it was going to be, that he was told it's their best pitcher, best arm. It was Gator Diamond Pod. And didn't have a great outing there. It was just an interesting game. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't clean to watch. It wasn't pretty to watch. You got the job done, and I'm going to be happy about that. But am I happy about the game itself and how it went? Not really. I mean, I get pissed off, and this is, football, baseball, basketball. I get pissed off when you are bad at the things that should be, maybe not routine would be the right word, but the technically sound things. When you're bad at that, I get pissed off at it. Because you could be a fantastic athlete, but if you're not technically sound, you're going to have mistakes that you shouldn't have, and you're going to lose games that you shouldn't lose. And stuff like that irritates the hell out of me, because if you're a great athlete or just naturally gifted at something and you're not doing the technical things well, that's irritating. Carson Bowen, not a typical first baseman. So like I understand that it's also harder for him to make a couple plays, or maybe not harder, but it's just not natural for him to make a couple plays out there, including one of the throwing errors. But you can't go into games and have 4 errors and expect to win. That's not happening. You're not gonna just give the other team base runners and give the other team runs and win games often. And that's partially what lost you this series. It's almost what got you swept. Again, you can go back to Friday night when you were talking about it. Like Florida lost that game partially because they couldn't field a bunt and because they walked guys. It wasn't pretty, wasn't fun. You got the job done. I guess you can be cool about that, be happy about that if you want to be happy about that. I'm sorry for the people that are just getting used to me now. I'm not going to get happy. Like I recognize that winning is what matters, and it doesn't matter if you win pretty or win ugly. But at the same time, there's also a difference to saying, well, I'm not going to be happy about an ugly win. I'm going to be happy that we won. I'm not going to be happy about an ugly win. Same way, there could be a loss where I can go, I'm pissed that you lost, but you did a lot of things right. You just got bested. Like that can happen too. That's going to be incredibly rare. Don't ever expect to hear that from me. But when I think about this game, I'm just like, look, like it's tough. That's one of the main jobs of a coach in college is keeping kids focused and motivated. Gave up too many runs against the 7-6. Stick a fork in them, Brandon. Yeah, it's look, this series was not promising, right? Like I'm not gonna pretend that the series was anything good. The series sucked for Florida. Do I think that's who they are? No. Again, because we saw them for the first 14 games of the season. We saw them do that. We saw them have the longest winning streak in the nation going into this season, going into the series. If those 14 games before this series aren't enough to tell you what this team is, then how can this 3-game series be enough to tell you what this team is? I'll wait, because I don't think you're going to have an answer for that one. The first, because I also don't think that the first 14 games of the series of the season is enough to tell you what this team is. I think that's true, but I don't think these 3 games will tell you what it is. I think you have to take the sum of the season, and right now the sum of the season tells me this is still a pretty damn good baseball team. Will that be the case as the season goes on if they keep playing like this? Nope. But for now, I still think this is a pretty good baseball team. They can bounce back. Florida State on is it Tuesday the 10th? Yeah, Florida State on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then this coming weekend, South Carolina, an SEC series is back. So we'll see what's going to go on with that. But Florida, I guess, be cool with a win, but you got a lot of work to do and you got a lot of things to figure out. And some guys that struggled can't struggle like that again. And some of these errors can't happen again. And some of these walks can't happen again if you want this team to reach what their potential is. Because we know they've got a really, really high ceiling. That floor could get pretty ugly at times if you don't tighten some things up. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free with the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow talking Buster Faulkner, talking one of Florida's opponents that I mark as an unknown, and I think is an unknown on the schedule this season. Don't forget Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube, 3 a.m. Eastern time on audio platforms. We got Coach John Summerall joining us on Locked On Gators. And as always, I will see you all next time.